Hey y'all, how's everyone doing? Well, today I want to do a quick kind of haul um, and review of a new product that I got, and it sounds like something that I would be doing on my other channel, which if any of you aren't interested, I do have a Bible, Beauty, Fashion, and Fun channel. And again, you just look up the name Beth Buchanan, Buchanon, Bible, Beauty, Fashion, and Fun. And I do hauls of clothes and jewelry, makeup, handbags, just fun, girly stuff like that. But also, I will not shirk away from talking about Jesus. He's my whole life, so he's not going to be a undiscussable subject on any of my channels. Even though this channel is specifically for devotions and Bible studies, I do want to talk about a Bible that I just purchased and review it with you because I have not seen it. And it is called a NIV Verse Mapping Bible. And what you do is you select a verse and you write it out, and then one of the best things to do after you do that, it's suggesting, is record the verse in 2 or 3 other Bible translations and underline keywords that are different or the same between the translations. To develop, you look up Hebrew or Greek meanings for the underlined words and record them. And actions are to ask questions. Imagine what it would be like to have experienced what's happening. Read the verses surrounding the verse and use the study tools to dig deeper if you prefer. And the outcome is, what is God saying to you? How does this verse relate to your life today? So what it does is it has guided instruction on how verse mapping works. It's got 350 partially completed verse maps. And it's got 70 blank verse maps for your own inductive study. So, which is where you basically do it yourself. It also says it's got page gilding, 2 satin ribbons, topical index, 66 book introductions, which there's 66 books in the Bible, so it's basically telling you every book in the Bible will have an introduction, probably just a study help type thing. And it also has a custom-built reverse interlinear feature on BibleGateway.com to research the Greek and Hebrew. And that's very important. Interlinear, meaning in between the lines. Studies are good because it helps you go look at the original Hebrew in the Old Testament or the Greek and Aramaic in the New Testament and see, translationally, do you feel when you look at that word that it was translated properly? Because they've got scholars who do that. And these are scholars who, when a new Bible translation is done, or the way it was done, now you see a lot of modern translations where you just have people get together and they do study helps, but the translation itself has usually been done, but you have to do your research to find this out, with a team of people. And the reason I like the NIV is because the team of people was cross-denominational in the Christian faith. It was, each book of the Bible was given to a different group, so there was no chance of bias developing, whether it's because of their particular denominational difference. And that is the whole point of denominations, is there's common denominators about Jesus, the Word of God, salvation. But there are some differentiating things that are at the lower levels in Protestant denominations. And then, of course, there's the Catholic Church, which is not technically a denomination. So, anyway, all that being said, when you look at different Bibles, you need to always understand where the team who put together that translation was from and what their credentials are and how they went about doing it. In other words, with the NIV, they use the original copy of copies and the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's not the Apocrypha. They're two different things. They use the Dead Sea Scrolls, which were found, to see, did it go back? Because when the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, it actually backed up the Bible. It wasn't any different. Matter of fact, the book of Isaiah was found intact, word for word. Well, it's Hebrew, so it's not word for word, but meaning for meaning, perfectly translated. And that should be really encouraging to us about that. But anyway, but I also do like the New King James. I also like the New Living Version 2 only, because they corrected the error in version 1, and Unfortunately, they didn't take version 1 off the market, but I think there's probably not much of them left. So this is the book. It is, one of those faux leathers. It's a really pretty cover, and it's got the thumb indexing, that's just helpful when you're trying to do Bible study, because you can quickly go to where you want to be. So I'm just going to go to Matthew, and again, you can see the intro, and it has here who the author is, the date they believe that it was written, where it took place, and then there's also kind of a theme and an introduction paragraph. And by theme, I mean they put genealogy, birth, and childhood of Jesus, the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus' miracles, parables, and ministry, Jesus in Jerusalem, meaning his crucifix, his death, and his resurrection. So those are the themes of the book. And then down here it says Matthew was a tax collector called to be a disciple from Capernaum. And so it's telling you something about a little background before you start reading the book of Matthew. Now, there are places on the sides, these little places that you can write in. You can either write notes or use that for your mapping. So here's an example of the interlinear Greek. So there it is. Okay. So when you look at Matthew chapter 1, verse 1, it says, this is the genealogy of Jesus, the Messiah, and it says B. And you look down, it says, or Jesus Christ. Messiah in Hebrew, Christ in Greek. In both, it does mean Messiah. Jesus Christ means Messiah. So those kind of little notes are helpful, y'all. And I'm looking at the bottom. Okay, let me look at G, because I know what that means. There's D, G. Okay, so the little footnote G, it's in verse 22. This is the Jesus is God, verse 22 and 23. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet, verse 23, the virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. And the G, when you go down to the bottom, it says Isaiah 7:14. So that's mapping. In other words, that tells you where else you can go in the Bible that you'll see that same fact. And if you go to Isaiah 7:14, it probably maps back to Matthew 1:23. So yeah, that's helpful. Let's just see. Or actually, that's called cross-referencing, chain referencing throughout the Bible. Okay, y'all, I haven't used this yet. So here's maybe what you're supposed to be doing that I explained to you from reading off the back. So I guess I'll have to try it and see. But it says verse 2, 9 through 10. Okay, so, and they've got underlined words, so you're supposed to go look those up. Oh, maybe it's in the back? There's an index. Nope, that's not what it is. Well, I guess I'm going to have to become more familiar with this to actually tell you exactly how to use it. No, the index is a topical index, which almost all Bibles have that now, or a concordance of some kind. So that if you're looking on a particular subject, you can go look that up, and it will give you some places. Like it says comfort, and then underneath that it says Lamentation 1:16, or faith, and it's got Mark 5, Luke 8, 1 Timothy 6, James 2, and it tells you places to find that. And I think that's the only study help, y'all. It looks like it. That is the only study help other than this mapping. So I guess I'll have to try and work it out a little more. Okay, letter from the editor. Probably will explain a little bit now. Yeah, how to use verse map. So I will read up a little more, and I feel like I'm not explaining it that well. It's for people who want to dig deeper. And it is very well explained right here, but I don't think I have time to read all that to you. So, bottom line, it looks like pre-selecting verses, and then you look at the design of the verse and the development of the verse and the actions that you would take on the verse and the outcome of how that applies to your life. So for the design and the development, that's where I would need to read a little bit more. But also it says for the interlinear deeper study that you can go to Bible Gateway. And so maybe Bible Gateway is, now this is Zondervan, Bible Gateway may be behind the study help of it. So it's interesting. So it's this beautiful dove gray faux leather and this navy with cream, looks like peonies or chrysanthemums or something. Very, very pretty to look at. Very, very pliable. Why does that matter? Because it'll lay flat when you're studying. Or if you're teaching, sometimes when I'm teaching, it's nice if you have a podium for something to lay flat when you're reading from it. Okay, here's an example. On this verse, Job's 26:7, he stretches out the northern skies over empty space. He suspends the earth over nothing. And it says in design, he stretches out, which means stretches, to spread out, to extend, to be spread out. And then it says empty space, useless, confused, formless, or vain. And then it says hangs, to suspend or to be hung from. This kind of reminds me of the Amplified version, where as you go, instead of it being a little separate thing like this where you focus on just one verse, every verse is amplified. Meaning you can say, and so you believe, adhere to, rely upon, have faith. In other words, what does faith mean or what does believe mean? And it gives you 3 or 4 other words. I will tell you, when you're born again, it's helpful because you really understand it, but it's also very time consuming to read because there's so many words for every mega word, like faith or love or joy or crucifixion or Messiah or anything like that. So, but when you do these kind of things, it is to study. So I'll look at this a little more and I'll check back in with you guys and tell you if I think this is a good Bible study help and translation to be using it with. So I hope that helped a little bit. I feel like I'm not even sure. But anyway, I'll talk to you again soon and I'll give you an update. How about that? Bye, y'all.